A heroic World War II soldier, a doctor who can't stop dying, and a talking dinosaur. These famous TV characters and more left us in tears with their heartbreaking final words. MASH was one of television's greatest series, and it concluded with an episode that broke records. In the finale titled Goodbye, Farewell, and Amen, Hawkeye has a mental health crisis following the death of a baby, as he feels responsible. With the help of his friends, he manages to climb out of the pit of depression he's in and say goodbye to the members of the 4077th. Each goodbye is heartfelt and beautiful, leading up to the final scene, where Hawkeye spends his final moments with BJ Honeycutt. Hawkeye acknowledges the difficulty his friend has in saying goodbye, so he does it for him. He explains that if they don't see one another again, he wants Honeycutt to know how much he means to him. In their final moments together, Hawkeye says his final words.
Miss you. I'll miss you.
Dinosaurs was a 1990s family sitcom about anthropomorphic dinosaurs living in a prehistoric society. Throughout the series, the father, Earl, takes care of his family while managing a challenging work-life balance. The series concluded in a depressing way. It focused on the planet's failing ecology, leading to an inevitable ice age, which is a result of global cooling. The older Sinclairs see the writing on the wall, and in the final scene, Earl tries to calm his youngest child as he ponders the terrible decisions that led to the end of the world. After reminiscing about their plight, Earl reassures his kids, saying,
"Dinosaurs have been on this earth for 150 million years, and it's not like we're going to just disappear."
Battlestar Galactica features a plethora of memorable characters, and at any moment, someone could be revealed to be a Cylon. This keeps the suspense going throughout the series, and when a beloved character realizes their truth, it sends shockwaves throughout the entire show, making for excellent television. One such character is Samuel T. Anders, whom Kara Thrace rescued from Cylon-occupied Caprica and later married. He turns out to be a Cylon, but he isn't entirely sold on the company line. In the series' three-part finale, Daybreak, Sam is plugged into a data stream on Galactica, where his near-comatose existence allows him to interface with the ship. The humans opt to destroy their ships and start anew on Earth, so Sam pilots the fleet into the sun. As he does this, he says,
"I see you on the other side."
Charlie Pace in Lost has a lot of baggage, and few would call him an extraordinarily good person at the beginning of the show. Fortunately, he adapts and evolves to the island and his fellow survivors, which helps him to become a better man and friend to people around him. Charlie finds his ultimate redemption in a Season 3 episode titled Through the Looking Glass. The action ramps up as the others go after the survivors at their beach camp, while Penny's freighter is anchored nearby. Charlie and Desmond are on the boat when Charlie intercepts a transmission from Penny, Desmond's partner. It turns out Penny has no idea about the boat, indicating the survivors were tricked. Before Charlie can leave the communications room, a bad guy detonates a grenade, so Charlie closes a watertight door to spare Desmond. Knowing he's going to die, Charlie does what he can to save his friends by quickly scrawling "Not Penny's boat" on his left palm, which he holds to the porthole so Desmond can see it. Charlie then dies of drowning. Season 4 of Orange is the New Black ends with the tragic death of Poussey, Washington. During what begins as a peaceful demonstration in the cafeteria, Suzanne Warren becomes increasingly more agitated, pushing Poussey to try and calm her down to de-escalate the situation. Unfortunately, this puts her into the action as Corrections Officer Bailey restrains her. Bailey doesn't merely hold her, he pushes her to the ground and places his knee onto her back. He holds this position for far too long while fighting off Suzanne, resulting in Poussey's accidental death by suffocation. Before this happens, Poussey says simply, No character in the history of television has said as many final words as the Doctor. Doctor Who first aired in 1963, and over a dozen actors, good and bad, have played the Doctor. Everyone has their favorite Doctor, but many of the Doctor's last words are hopeful and quite lovely. Of course, there are those who reminisce and say something truly heartbreaking. This is true of the 10th Doctor, whose final farewell is considered by some to be the most devastating of them all. Unlike his other incarnations, the 10th Doctor's demise was relatively slow, allowing him a rare opportunity to bid farewell to those who were dearest to him in life. After a series of good deeds made all the more heartbreaking by the understanding that this was the end for him, the Doctor allows himself one last moment with the woman he loves before retreating to the TARDIS, where he uttered a single devastating line.
I don't want to go.
Rex Van de Kamp and his wife Rhee have a tumultuous relationship in Desperate Housewives, leading to their separation. Eventually, Rex is hospitalized with a strange sickness that's later confirmed to be caused by ingesting potassium pills. They were supplied by Bree's would-be lover George, who wanted to get Rex out of the way. Rex and Rhee reconcile shortly before he learns of his poisoning, which he blames on his wife. At this time, Rex's health is failing rapidly, so he gets out a pad and pen to write a letter to Rhee, which amounts to his final words. He writes, "Rhee, I understand, and I forgive you." Unfortunately, he couldn't write anything else, as he died soon after. Eddie Munson is one of the most beloved characters on Stranger Things, but he only stuck around for one season. Eddie is the school's local drug dealer and dungeon master, and he forms a bond with Dustin. He also becomes a target of Hawkins' satanic panic surrounding Dungeons and Dragons, and he feels incredibly guilty for running when Chrissy died. Eddie has an amazing redemption arc, playing Metallica's Master of Puppets in the Upside Down to buy the group some time to stop Vecna. He succeeds, but is attacked by Vecna's army of bats, which tear him apart. Eddie doesn't die right away and has a brief moment with Dustin, who holds him in his arms. In his final moments, Eddie looks at Dustin and says,
"It's finally my year."
It was something of a running joke on Supernatural that the main character could die and return from one episode to the next. Dean died multiple times throughout the show's 15 seasons. Eventually, Supernatural wound down to its final season, and in the series finale, Dean dies for good. When fighting a pack of vamps in a barn, Dean is thrown back into a wooden post with a piece of sharpened rebar. The steel goes right into Dean's back, delivering a fatal blow. When the dust settles, his brother Sam tries to free him, but they both realize that Dean's luck has finally run out. From there, they begin to have an emotional conversation. Dean makes Sam promise to let him go and carry on without him. Sam reluctantly agrees, and he remains with him as he fades. Dean's last words to his brother are,
I see him.
in the pilot episode of Young Sheldon, Sheldon says through narration that he wished he'd told his father more before he died. In a season 7 episode, George is shown leaving the house for work. When he does this, he says the same thing he often said to his family.
See y'all later.
This was George Sr.'s last words in the series, though nobody in his family knew that for some time. Later, 2 of George's co-workers arrive at the house to deliver some bad news. They tell his wife, Mary, that George died suddenly of a heart attack. The rest of the episode deals with the fallout of George Sr.'s death, and it's heartbreaking to know he left the family in such a normal way, making it harder to get over his passing. Fans of the Walking Dead comics knew all too well that Glenn Rhee's days were numbered on the television show. There were a couple of misdirects, but eventually Glenn found himself kneeling before Negan, and there was no way he'd walk away from that. Negan explains very clearly that he'll kill one of the survivors kneeling before him, which plays into the season finale's cliffhanger. Eventually, he settles on killing Abraham. Daryl sucker punches him, so Negan rebukes by going after Glenn next, hitting him hard on the head. As he struggles from the blow, Glenn looks at his distraught wife and says, "I will find you." Most Game of Thrones fans agree that one of the series' most shocking and pivotal scenes is the Red Wedding. In the Season 3 episode, Robb Stark apologizes to Walder Frey for going against their agreement in order to marry his beloved Talisa. Frey accepts his apology, but in reality, he sets the Starks up. And during the wedding of Edmure Tully and Rosalind Frey, men in balconies pull out crossbows and begin slaughtering everyone. Shortly before this happens, Talisa has a conversation with Robb, telling him she wants to name their son after his father, Ned. The last thing she says to him is,
"Don't you want to teach little Ned Stark how to ride horses?"
Shortly after this, a thug approaches Talisa from behind and stabs her repeatedly, killing her. Band of Brothers is one of the most realistic portrayals of World War II combat to ever grace the small screen, and it features a massive cast. Because the series is based on true stories, many of the characters are representations of real people who fought during the conflict, and the show doesn't pull any punches in depicting the horrors of war, especially when it comes to characters' deaths. In one episode, Private First Class Eugene Jackson goes on patrol across a river. During the mission, Jackson finds himself too close for a grenade and is severely wounded when it explodes. He's picked up by his team and taken back across the river, but it's not good. Jackson's wounds are fatal, and as he lies there among his friends, he knows the end is coming. Jackson says something that's been uttered on countless battlefields throughout history: "I don't want to die, I don't want to die." Dr. Lance Sweets is easily one of the most beloved characters from the Fox series Bones. Sweets is an affable and funny FBI psychologist who is assigned to work with Seeley Booth and Temperance Brennan. He remains an important character throughout the series, but he dies horribly in the season 10 premiere. As the episode progresses and the murder plot unfolds, Booth and Brennan are called to a parking garage where they find Sweets beaten to a pulp. As his friends arrive, they work to try and help him. Before he dies, he explains what happened to his friends, who try to comfort him. His last words are, However, you two, the world is a lot better than you think it is. With that, Sweet succumbs to his injuries and dies.